Hi, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us today for this session where we're going to talk about account-based marketing. I'm Betty Ledgerwood, Principal of LightSwitch Marketing, and joining me today is Murray Vance. He's the founder and Vice President of Business Development for Ideovee. He's an expert in ABM, and he's the creator of BetterProspecting, our account-based marketing program. Hi, Murray. Nice to see you.
Hi, Betty. Thanks for the call. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. And just really looking forward to your input on how ABM can affect the small to medium enterprise. So let's get started. Tell me, when did you start with ABM and why?
Gosh, it was 2017, and there were a couple of companies I was working with where there's the ABM buzzword, and no one really kind of tangibly could describe it or explain what it was. And I was looking to do a skills upgrade professionally, kind of invest in myself. I do that every year or two and look for something new that I can learn. And I found this training on ABM with Demandbase and Engagio, and I was hooked on it. And as it turned out, Demandbase ended up acquiring Engagio about a year later. So they had a very common approach to account-based marketing. ABM articulates a process for a complex sale. And we know for even an easy sale, it takes 7 to 10 touch points to persuade a customer to make that purchase decision. For a complex sale, it's 15 plus. So there's really a sustained effort. And a lot of sales reps and marketing teams have a hard time sustaining that over time. ABM gives us a roadmap for that. And I had been doing the process kind of ad hoc, but sometimes I'd drop one or I'd do them out of sequence. And by learning this process, it's given me a very clear methodology that works and produces results. Right.
So for our audience, then, perhaps you can tell us what ABM is.
Okay. Good starting point. It's a methodology. It's a process. It's a strategic approach to developing the right customers and landing the customers that will matter most to the growth of the business. Instead of everybody who walks through the door or who comes to your website, there's really a finite number of customers that will really matter to business growth. And then there's the bottom of the pyramid. But how do you attract and create awareness with the top of the pyramid? There's a measured growth strategy with continuous improvement to ABM. So you learn what you're doing, you learn what's effective, and you improve upon it. Another essential ingredient is an alignment of the revenue functions in a unified team. So instead of silos of sales, marketing, operations, all kind of cobbling their pieces together, it really brings the team together on commonly measured objectives and outcomes. There's a focused, knowledgeable effort to secure the right customers, the ones that will matter most to the business. And the saying that I love most about ABM is it's fishing with a spear, not a net, because it is that very focused, know your prospective customer, know them in depth, find out what the problem is that you can solve for them, and appeal to them on a one-to-one level. We call it B2B sales, but it's really people to people. We're selling to other people at other companies, and we tend to lose sight of that with the B2B tag. So it's a process for proving our value to prospective business customers in a very deliberate way.
Well, I love that there's a strategy there that will bring together all the important pieces and people within a company to focus on the same goal. And that, fishing with a spear and not a net also says a lot about, the focus that it brings. So next question is, what do you think the benefits are of ABM for the small to medium business?
Well, there's some pretty impressive industry stats on the subject. I run a relatively small business on ABM, and I have my own personal experience, which is anecdotal. But when I look at what's happening in the industry, and I look at some of the big players, Demandbase for one, or Salesforce, HubSpot, are all adding aspects of ABM, but across the industry, you have industry players like PMG who say that 72% of companies reported greater ROI from ABM than any other kind of marketing. Forrester Research ties in and says organizations with aligned sales and marketing in an ABM process have an average of 32% revenue growth, while companies that aren't doing that have a 7% decline. So competitively, like there's data from Forrester about how this works. The ITSMA reports that 85% of marketers who use it have higher returns than any other marketing approach they use, when about half of them are reporting significantly higher ROI. Serious Decisions, another kind of industry benchmark, 84% of marketers say that ABM offers significant benefits in keeping and expanding client relationships. Nearly a third of marketers report more than 100% greater engagement with C-suite targets when working with an account-based manner. And that's a state of the ABM study. And I don't like using that expression target. It feels pretty impersonal and wrong. These are really prospective customers. These are people. I really want to get the industry away from that target type of mentality, but there's really broad industry information. Marketo says that ABM can reduce up to 50% of wasted sales time on unproductive leads. I mean, those are the kinds of improvements that a business can see when we adopt ABM.
Right. That's so impressive. And so who do you think should be using ABM?
I think there are probably applications in business to consumer, but that's not the primary focus. It's really business to business that want to be competitive and accelerate growth. And where you have company leadership at the CEO level, CRO level, CMO level, that are a little frustrated by the team not working well together and not being a unified revenue team. That's another opportunity to add leadership and to galvanize a team, bring people together, get them to work more effectively on sales growth and acceleration of the sales process.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because frankly, being a marketer, I think that we're always looking for ways to bring all the teams together, to align with sales, to make sure that we're all, focused on the same objectives. So yeah.
And that's one of your qualities, Betty, in terms of working with people, is your ego doesn't get in the way. But I've seen so many organizations where sales pointing their finger at marketing and marketing is pointing their finger at someone else, and ops is in there, and there's some infighting that's non-productive. It's not good for the business. It's not good for the employees. It's not good for the customers. And it's a pretty sad reflection on leadership that they need to sort that out. There's a better way to do this. Exactly.
So how can a small or medium-sized B2B business implement or start to implement an account-based marketing program?
Yeah, I hear that. One of the first reference materials that I picked up on ABM was 185 pages, and I was a little daunted by that. That's probably, it's a great reference guide to put on your desk and set aside, but if you're going to learn ABM, that was a pretty serious time commitment. I think there's a crawl, walk, run approach to it.
Right.
You can use your existing systems, you work with your existing team, get a framework for ABM, adopt a framework. We use a 7-step process. It's really easy to follow.
Right.
Gap fill some of the resources you don't have or expertise you don't have. Ask for help, contract with it, use your business network to fill in those gaps. But the important part is starting. I love that expression about the 2 best times to plant a tree are 20 years ago and today. And ABM is very similar. Like the best time to start ABM would have been at inception about 10 years ago when it started and was nascent, or today. But the important thing is to get started.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of our clients where it doesn't have to be 100 or 1,000 prospects we're after. You can always do a nice little pilot project with 10 or 20 prospective clients, so I think to summarize, what you're saying is that we want to start now and take a crawl, walk, run approach, but start ABM today. And with that, I want to say thank you again, Murray. Great suggestions and lovely chatting with you. We'll see everyone else later.
Great. Thank you, Betty. Bye.